And ready to continue with the day. Moving on to our match number 4, which is going to be Felkeine versus Bunnyhoppor. A matchup we've not really talked too much about, honestly, today, Soto. We've kind of mentioned, well, one, we've cast a few of them, so we talk about them a lot. But we've mentioned a few of the other matchups, the big one, Casey Viper, of course, the upcoming last match of the day, Sylvan Hunter Race. But we've not really talked about Felkeine and Bunnyhoppor, and it's an interesting one, not only because Bunnyhoppor so far in Grandmasters is 3-0 versus Felkeine, but also because Bunnyhoppor is just another player who has chosen to bring a priest in the lineup.
Yeah, and that priest is certainly going to be a big kicker again. You know, we saw how the series really did come down to the wire with that priest because Viper was fractions away of swinging that matchup in the other direction there if it wasn't for a very canny Apotheosis setup from Casey, and maybe if it wasn't for a few poor decisions on the Discover from Viper, then that could have had a very different outcome indeed. And if that priest didn't pick up a win against the Demon Hunter, who knows where it stood against the Rogue with the Togwaggle scheme thrown in there, which once again, I feel like we're being robbed of answers, Raven, as to whether the Rogue of any build can actually outvalue the priest. But it looks like we are being shown a warrior here from Felkeine, Raven, which is one of the things that we probably haven't discussed enough with the priest lineups, is that, you know, typically some people do believe that the priest has a decent matchup against warrior, so maybe including priest in your lineup is one of the permissible times where you can leave warrior up.
Yes, quite the endangered species the warrior is in Grandmasters at the moment, as it is being banned left, right, and center, and rightly so. My issue with this, Subtle, with leaving the warrior up, even if you have priest, is we ain't playing last hero standing. You can't queue priest into warrior. It doesn't work like that. And already we see Bunnyhoppor is going to be playing the Demon Hunter into warrior. And if Felkeine just gets a win here, can you know, I know this is this statistical chance of where you put your bans based on your lineup and all of this, but I would just deem this a bit of a mistake now. Because one, I just firmly believe that warrior should just be banned. Its power level is insane. But like I said, because you can't force a queue or a class interaction of your choice, and then some of your other decks are actually bad matchups, I feel, then surely it just should have been a ban regardless. I don't know. I think Priest has other good matchups that you don't need to be able to worry about it too much.
Yeah, but I'm a happy boy because we do get to watch some warrior, and I love this deck, so I'll take any appearance that we can get, whether it's correct or not, but my philosophy very much stands alongside yours.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy to cast warrior. I love this deck. I think it's awesome. Felkeine is not going to be playing his Zoo instead, and funnily enough, this is something we saw from, although slightly differently, but from Hunter Race last week, which we criticized a lot as well, right? Banning Zoo and leaving warrior up, and then he just got kind of dumpstered, honestly. So we'll see if Bunnyhopper's going to be on the punishing end of the decision, or if he's going to create some kind of a vindication here for his choice.
Okay, live wire Lance was creeping into the hand there for Felkeine as he finished his mulligan, which is fantastic news for him because that is a phenomenal card in the matchup. A little bit below Ankar in overall power level because Ankar will go fishing for that risky skipper that you really want as well.
Yeah, I've been playing a good chunk of this matchup myself recently as I've been chugging away on learning some warrior, or getting better at some warrior, I hope. And I will say that there are a lot of games where Demon Hunter just pressures you so hard if you don't get exactly an Armor Smith to gain some health back. It can be a little bit too late even if you do get a risky skipper. It can take a certain amount of damage where then Demon Hunter's combination of weapons, say Metamorphosis, Glaive-Bound Adepts, all that damage they have accessible from hand means that you can't actually just out-armor that with a hero power alone.
No, but when you're clearing all of their minions with one of your 2/2 or 3/3 weapons, as long as the minions don't get to attack multiple times, then you stack up pretty well against that. I do think the Armor Smith is relevant. I think we actually saw Felkeine toss an Armor Smith back, which might be a point of contention for some people, because Armor Smith does seem essential in the matchup. But I wouldn't necessarily call it essential. I think it is auxiliary to the game plan, where I think you do want to control the board first and foremost, and Armor Smith isn't really a card that helps you do that. I think, you know, in a lot of occasions you are going to need that Armor Smith to stabilize you against like a Metamorphosis push or whatever else. But I think, you know, job number one is get your board control cards, your Warmaul Challenger, your Livewire Lance, find that Corsair cache, because that is just pure money in the matchup. So I like Felkeine's approach so far.
Yep, I have been testing out keeping Armor Smith myself against Demon Hunter, and although it's been a very firm okay as a keep, does feel weird to keep a card that you don't really plan on playing for a while against a highly aggressive deck. And then the problem is, if you go, okay, we'll just play it early then, it's like, right, well then it's gained you 2 armor, or 3 armor, which is a hero power. Why did you keep that card, right? You almost need it for the risky skip and pop off.
Yeah, I know Meaty, who is one of the top players in the UK, did recently post a guide to his version of the deck, which is a little bit different from what Felkeine's playing, but philosophically almost identical. Where he actually posted in his Mulligan guide that you should keep Armor Smith against Demon Hunter specifically. So the debate will rage on, I'm sure.
In the meantime, here everything pretty even. Felkeine does have this live wire lance, which, as you said, just it's clutch. Whether it's
just so
or
good
not, yeah, it does just farm Demon Hunter minions in the early game. And he has some good follow-up as well. Even Bloodsail Raider, definitely not the highest impact pirate in the world, but just in this instance of having 3 health and now a threatening level of attack, it does mean that Bunnyhoppor has to respect it in some level, right? And the hero power with a little buff isn't going to do it. It's going to require a reasonable sum of resources to actually kill off. I'm just going to double check as well. Bunnyhoppor is running I-beams in his list. He has the beaming sidekick, tops out at skull. So Bunnyhoppor's, what I would say at least, is playing like the bread and butter tempo Demon Hunter. It is just all what's deemed the good cards with no crazy tech in them.
I grow impatient.
Yeah, at least for Grandmasters purposes.
Yes.
Your ladder experience may differ.
Yeah, please note, Grandmasters does not represent the thoughts and opinions of the Hearthstone ladder.
I will still find.
One way to negate a live wire lance, though, just play a dude with more than 2 health. Normally does the job. Good trade in first and then Warmaul Challenger. Just leave it alive.
Yeah, he keeps a 1-1 at the end of the turn. It's fine. Your 3-drop killed their 4-drop. It's not the end of the world.
And it's one of the few high health minions you have to deal with in the whole game, right? So it's one of the few minions that Risky Skipper probably doesn't deal with. Or he could just go for a Blade Storm as well. Obviously, it wouldn't work quite yet because he has the minion down that would die first. But maybe next turn.
Yeah, it's almost never going to work though, right? Because another minion with less health is going to be placed alongside this now. It might get something done in combination with the weapon, maybe.
That's out. Yeah.
I think Commanding Shout is just a particularly strong card in the deck in general.
I mean, Commanding Shout does the job next turn, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
One of my favorite interactions right now is Commanding Shout Warmaul Challenger. It's hilarious. I just find the biggest minion possible to drop it on.
I grow impatient.
I was curious about the Blade Storm, though.
No,
I was a little bit curious about the Blade Storm, just in terms of not to solve this problem, but just because Demon Hunter makes a lot of boards that just have 2 health on everything, so it could be just, a 3-mana consecration a lot of the time.
Demons?
Yeah, it's reasonable, honestly. It's like the opposite Blade Storm, if that makes sense. Instead of, we talk a lot about can Blade Storm kill a thing. Well, sometimes it does kill a lot of things if they all have the same health, obviously. This was a tough turn, though, for Bunnyhoppor. I don't think it was super straightforward that it was Satyr. Just because Spectral Sight was active, and now he is, I think, consistently locked into a Warglaive the turn after. Another Warglaive, never the worst play in the world on curve. Being almost locked into it can feel pretty bad. Now is it the dream turn time? Could do all of this and clear the board and still keep a 4-1 and a 1-1.
Yep. This seemed pretty strong.
Also, it's sick as well because he doesn't have to take 4 if he plays Command and Shout. He can use the 4-3 to kill the Satyr.
Exactly. Go fishing for his lackey first. If he gets a Kobold lackey or something, that might change the plan. Oh, he did. Well, okay then.
I think it's okay keeping hold of that though, right?
Yeah,
that's
seems
just
fine.
a flexible tool to keep hold of. Oh yeah, I love it so much.
Good work, Challenger.
And even now, this Warglaive, Bunnyhoppor might feel that if he chooses to equip Warglaive, he has to clear these 2 minions, as you don't really want to leave stuff on board. But if he does, it's not the best Warglaive clear I've ever seen either. A 4-1 and a 1-1 using a Warglaives to clear up. Ugh. He could hold and have the Glaive bound next turn, but still, you've got to imagine that Felkeine's going to make a bigger board the turn after. He's got plenty of cards.
Yep. Felkeine certainly will. He even has, like, Bomb Wrangler, Inner Rage, Bloodsworn Mercenary available to him next turn if he wants to really push.
Time grows short.
Not feel good for Bunnyhoppor, not only taking this damage, but using the swing to clear off a minion that was almost dead anyway. And now does he respect the 1-1? It's a big question.
Yeah, that's the problem when you're playing against this deck, though. It's not just a 1-1, it is a damaged minion, which is gold dust for Felkeine. It means he can play Blood Boil Brute this turn. It means that Rampage is active. If Rampage is active, Bloodsworn Mercenary is insane. It's an extra draw off Battle Rage. That one card as a 1-1 damaged minion just represents so much payoff.
I wonder if you'd ever consider Rampage, Inner Rage, Bloodsworn Mercenary. That is a lot of damage. Although, honestly, with Inner Rage Grom in hand, although the burst combo not the usual way to beat Demon Hunter, if you're keeping the board this clear, I think it's valid to hold on for it for 2 turns because there are other good plays he could make.
Right. So the problem with just the Rampage Bloodsworn turn is that you're a little bit weak to Glade Bound, because just Hero Power and Glade Bound will clear up both of your duplicated minions. But it does push an enormous amount of damage in the process, even more so if you use the Inner Rage as well that Raven was talking about. This was my instinct going into the turn before the Rampage draw, so I'm not surprised to be seeing this.
Enjoy your Warglaives.
Yeah.
And honestly, as I said, it is not consistently the outcome where you get to like Grom in a Rage Demon Hunter for lethal. It's not really the game plan. It's not really what happens. So even maybe just Grom as an on-curve play to either just lethal with 4 or just trade off a minion.
Yep.
And live is still more than okay in almost all circumstances, really.
But yeah, the big reason why I like this play more is that it just, because you leave the bombs behind against Bunnyhoppor, like swinging and then glade bounding, you're left with a much better board control than you would if you just went for the Bloodsworn Mercenary on the 4-4 rampaged Warmaul challenges. Right. You can just kind of fight back with the bombs, that will probably clear the board for you, and then you can just potentially redevelop the next turn anyway.
Also, as well, this is a good follow-up to getting value from Armor Smith when Risky Skipper isn't anywhere really in sight. Maybe this is the turn where Felkeine says, I'm just going to drop an Armor Smith. These trades with the bombs are going to get me some armor. And most importantly, the Armor Smith is just sat on board and not even damaged, so it requires 4 damage to actually come off.
This is looking pretty clean to me. I think Felkeine can just push here, honestly. Just maximize bomb damage to face, potentially, by putting the Kobold Lackey into the 6-4. And then Rampage at 1-1, just start pushing. Alright, it works out just fine anyway. Still plenty of bomb damage going face. I'm a liar.
Plenty. Still, as you said, this is just Felkeine just showing off the sheer control and how comfortable he is at this point, right? He beat back the early aggression here from Bunnyhoppor's Demon Hunter. From the mid-game, has basically just been able to do almost whatever he wants. Now he has Grom from hand for 4, plus the Livewire Lance he has equipped, which means that's just lethal in hand unless this heal specifically? Is there a no taunt?
Yeah, and this is why it makes sense not to use the Kobold Lackey, because that way he just gets the Livewire Lance equipped, and he's setting up 2-turn anyway with the Grom in hand, so this definitely works out much better for Felkeine.
You know, I don't want to say I told you so, Subtle, mainly because it wasn't really aimed at you, but banning Warrior, not banning Warrior just does not feel right, does it?
No one's on the other side of this argument, apart from Bunnyhoppor.
And a couple of other choice players now and again, but yeah. It just the deck just seems too good, honestly. Even the counters don't even feel like counters, they just feel like less bad matchups. That's going to be game number 1, going to Felkeine on the Warrior. And now, questions are going to be asked. Is this whole series going to unravel for Bunnyhoppor now? Or is it just okay the Warrior got a win and the strength of Bunnyhoppor's lineup and this Priest is going to carry him through it anyway? We're going to find out very shortly.
Yeah, who knows? It does just continue to be mystifying, though, as Warrior now pushes 80% win rate legitimately. I think it was 78 at the beginning of our broadcast today, so it now has another win under its belt at the first attempt. Like, it's been banned 83 times in Grandmasters round robin so far, and even then, the players who feel so confident that the deck that has been banned 83 times is actually the one that they want to leave up because they can deal with it, against those players, the one who specifically choose to play against Warrior, it has an 80% win rate. Hello? Like, what's happening? Ban this deck.
And again, I think it's also an effect of the format, right? If we were playing Last Hero Standing and they say, okay, you get your first win with the Warrior, and then I just hard counter you, beat you 100%, not 100% of the time, but you get my point. Like, hard counter the Warrior and then win the series from there, then I get it, right? Like, we can talk. If there's a deck that can even do that, we can discuss that later. But if that's the idea, 100%. In Conquest, if you miss the matchup, Warrior wins, which is just statistically going to happen, right? So, and then you just 0-1 down, and then you've not got a good lineup, and you've not built everything correctly. So, again, I'm not building these lineups. I'm not playing in Grandmasters every week. Who talks about it? But to me, this doesn't add up. So we'll see maybe even next week if this changes, and if Warrior's going to continue to be left up, maybe even post nerfs.
Indeed, well, we can move on from that now, as Felkeine, with the Warrior win under his belt, is going to move on to his own Demon Hunter, which, again, is what Raven was describing as pretty much the core list, with the Beaming Sidekicks, with no Priestess of Fury, with no Fell Screamer. He is only playing a single copy of the Eye-Beam, which is another interesting talking point that some players have come into this last couple of weeks. In a world where you're banning Warrior, and therefore your Demon Hunter is going to have to play the Demon Hunter Mirror quite a lot of the time, and playing 0 or 1 Eye-Beams in their deck, which I think is something that you've got to ask questions about.
It is, but when that sacrifice is being made for a more consistent early game, maybe that's okay. -1 Spectral Sight from one of the most common lists, and -1 Eye-Beam creates the 2 Sightless Watchers we see in Felkeine's list. And maybe, just maybe, making your draw a little bit more consistent and having more early game minions as well to play out instead of just a Spectral Sight could pay off. It's definitely something I could understand, but personally I am a fan of just double Eye-Beam, because not only due to the matchups, I just think the card is good to make it as a 2-of in the deck.
Yeah, just a very solid option. I think there are some matchups where it can be a pretty big whiff, but I think when you have Demon Hunter Mirrors expected, and when also I can't speak for Felkeine's preparation or what decks he was expecting to come up against, but I was also expecting a very good chunk of Face Hunter this week as well, which of course then...
Yes, I agree.
Eye-Beam is for sure one of the go-to cards.
Here we go. Demon Hunter versus Demon Hunter. Bunnyhoppor versus Felkeine. Both players, as you can see there, a 1-1 score in round robin so far, so neck and neck. But after this weekend, one player's going to take an extra step forward. And double Battle Fiend, Frozen Shadow Weaver looks like a reasonable opening hand for me here, Sato, even with that Metamorphosis on the end there for Felkeine.
Yeah, it does. He is potentially going to be outcast blocked for a few turns by that Metamorphosis. But Bunny might just end up with the same problem here. It's a difficult call, to keep I-Beam in the middle when your left-hand card will then be a mystery card, because there's a decent chance that you're not going to get to use it for early game tempo swings where you might really want it. So yeah, no great surprise to me to see Bunnyhoppor just throwing away the full mulligan there. Picks up a much better looking Blazing Battle Mage on the play. Has Beaming Sidekick follow up as well. It's a huge start.
Definitely on board here with Bunnyhoppor's full mulligan. In the meantime, Felkeine does have these double Battle Fiends, and the question already starting to be asked here, impacted by this Battle Mage of course, is this ever double Battle Fiend with the coin? Or does Felkeine need to take it slower now that he's facing down a minion on Bunnyhoppor's side of the board?
Yeah, he definitely cannot double Battle Fiend anymore. You saw Felkeine sort of giving the eyes to Bunnyhoppor as he was playing his turn 1, and then the big exhalation of air when he did see the 2/2 come down, because he knows that really just messes up his entire hand right now.
Grows short.
The only viable play apart from passing is just to sacrifice one of them to the gods and then just try and hero power it down next turn with the other Battle Fiend, so you do end up with that 2/2 in play. But Beaming Sidekick is now going to make a complete mess of that plan as well.
It is, and even I-Beam. Is it ever worth Bunnyhoppor protecting the health even further on this Battle Mage and just using the I-Beam while he can?
Demons. Demons.
Doesn't use it for heal, but he holds 4 health, which makes this Battle Mage almost immortal for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think you probably do it. That I-Beam's going to start edging towards the left, which means it's not going to get used for some time until after the Warglaives at this point. Oh, okay. Bunnyhoppor does just take the value trade. I guess right now, Bunnyhoppor doesn't have a turn 3 locked in, so he might even feel like if his turn 3 is just hardcast I-Beam for 3 to remove a minion, then that's just fine, and he can move on from there with Satyr Overseer Hero Power the turn after.
That is true, yeah. He is pretty free to do that, and then still has the flexibility of maybe just playing the card he draws anyway.
Demons. Demons.
Okay, no. Play I love to watch, because he makes some pretty emotive facial expressions. But here he's just struggling, right? He's playing this Shadow Weaver, and you can see he doesn't want to. He's not enjoying this. He has to free his face to stop out, I don't know, a potential that card. But most importantly, this minion is already dead. The upside here for Felkeine, if this pays off for him, is that, well, Shadow Weaver dies on board, but it kills the minions that trade into it. So at least it's gonna try and even up this board state a little bit. But Bunnyhoppor could go with that option you brought up, Sol, of just saying, oh, well now, yeah, just I-Beam the 4/3. This weapon, although decent, would float a mana, because the hero power doesn't add any damage that's actually usable this turn. Only makes 2 1/1s. Bunnyhoppor could just go, okay, well, I-Beam and crack on. There's a 2/3 and a 1/2 still on his side of the board. Seems good to me.
It does set up a little bit better for his Overseer turn to play the Umberwing now. But yeah, I think all things considered, I think this is something that Bunnyhoppor was planning around. There was a decent chance, as you said, that the top deck card and the I-Beam were just both playable in the same turn there, which, you know, was the case again. But Umberwing, yeah, bit of wasted value in that position, especially when he's curving into Warglaives.
Yeah, would have been a setup for that Overseer, as you mentioned, but I feel like he would actually lose or regenerate a similar looking board anyway with that Overseer play, so why not just hold an Overseer and keep the board size?
I think Bunnyhopper's starting to realise what I'm just saying, though. Like, he could have just played Umberwing and then discounted his I-Beam anyway. Like, I don't really see the downside in doing that.
Oh, wait, yeah, I'm being absolutely stupid. For some reason, I was commenting on it being one or the other, but it just isn't.
No, you can just do both.
Yeah, apologies, Subtle. I'm a moron sometimes. Yeah, you're completely right. I think that was always just
Demons.
Are you bothered about sometimes, even most of the time, losing one swing of the Umberwing? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Honestly, I think that's
right,
what...
yeah.
I think, like, you know, potentially I was in Bunny's head there, and he did think about that exact outcome. Like, maybe I just have to hardcast I-Beam for 3 next turn, and that's just fine. So then when it came up, that's just where his head was at, right? It's like, okay, do I actually have to hardcast it for 3? And he just didn't really break the turn down properly.
And the real problem was I was in your head about being in Bunnyhoppor's head about the I-Beam, so I had no chance with that turn. Yeah, completely right. And now he's going to lose the charge anyway. Doesn't get to play the Overseer this turn.
Is it cold in
But
the
still has a
shadows?
reasonable sized board. And another Frozen Shadow Weaver. Felkeine comes down and... Is the end even in sight here for Felkeine? His hand still isn't really shaping up, is it?
Nope, not really coming together whatsoever. The second Frozen Shadow Weaver does create some problems for Bunny, and just in terms of what he would like to be getting on with this turn. But not enough from where I'm sat. I think Bunny might have to forget how Outcast works 4 or 5 more times this game for Felkeine to come back into it.
Is it too crazy here to suggest a Frozen Shadow Weaver?
Hide behind your circles. I will still find you.
You wanted to, what, freeze the face on the other side as well?
Yeah, just freeze the face.
I can see it.
And just say, well, what card gets Felkeine back in this game? Well, maybe Twin Slice with a Warglaves of Azinov gets him back in the game. Just make that never happen, right? And even if he has Twin Slice, then Twin Slice Glavebound can't happen either. I think that turn, we talked about it a lot about the turn, or the 5-mana turn for Demon Hunter. I think that was worth considering.
I love this, though, from Bunny. I think right back on form. A lot of people might have been tempted to take the value trade there with the Cane and then just maintain minions on board. But I think Bunny in that position recognized that using his small minions to trade and then going to face with the minion with high health cut one of the outs away from his opponent, which was just an Altruist with that hand with potentially just an Altruist plus 1/1 drop or an Altruist plus 1 Twin Slice maybe was about the max that he could expect to come out. So having just a minion with 5 health still in play would cut down one of those comeback mechanisms available. But you can see Bunny clearly very frustrated with the way that game played out for him.
Yep, looks like he's just stepping away for just a second to take a break, which is fine, of course. But yeah, it was one of those rare moments. We do not see that often from Bunnyhoppor, do we? If we live in the world where we say that was a mistake, because I think it's fair to say the sacrifice of one attack for one of equipping a Warglaves is absolutely fine. So let's call that a mistake just for this conversation. Like, we don't really see Bunnyhoppor make some very basic level mistakes like that in his career, full stop. So a bit of a rare occurrence. I'm not too surprised to see him frustrated with that one. He is one of the players who I think judges himself pretty harshly.
Yeah, for sure. And, rightly so. You don't reach the standards that Bunnyhoppor reaches. You don't combine being one of the best players in tournament, in competition throughout, HCT seasonal championships and amass the amount of points that he did when it was a points-based system, while being a part-time player, like while still studying for his PhD as his kind of full-time endeavor and playing Hearthstone on the side. You don't reach that level of excellence without holding yourself to a very high standard.
Yeah, well, that is going to even the series up overall. Bunnyhoppor getting a win on his Demon Hunter. He still does have this Priest left, which again is the question mark deck, or the 4th deck, arguably, for the lineup. And we'll see how it's going to perform overall. We did see it played out yesterday, but in some very different matchups, i.e. Priest Mirror. But Felkeine is going to be locking in his Rogue for this game. And I wonder, Sol, is it going to be the Rogue versus the Priest? Are we going to see it?
Who knows, but I certainly hope so. Just bringing down the list, there is a couple of one-offs hanging around in here, which I'm not super fond of. Looks like Felkeine has wanted to make some room for some one-off tech cards, and that has caused him to go down to a single copy of some various other cards as well. 1 Boom Pistol Bully, 1 Faceless Corruptor, for example, and also 1 Eviscerate. I think the Secrets, fine, you can have single copies of the Secrets, that makes sense. But I am, as I always keep mentioning, a big fan of this no more than 1 Devoted Maniac build that most people do now seem to be on board with as well.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be the Rogue Mirror. Bunnyhoppor not running a Boom Pistol Bully, but running that Cobbled Sticky Finger as his 5-drop tech. And I'm starting to consider, Sol, if we're going to just see this Devoted Maniac just phased out in the next week or so. Because when you start dropping something down to 1, you start to think, well, what else could I play then to make that 0? Like, is that Devoted Maniac actually core to the list? Because a lot of the times I feel if you can make a cut, if you can cut 1, 2 of, you've always got to consider if you can cut them both, right? Because there's a reason you've used that card to cut in the first place.
Now you're speaking my language, Raven.
I knew you'd like that one, Sol. That was just for you.
2 or 0. I mean, we do see that's where Huntrace is at in the list that we'll be seeing in our next series as well. But I do want to justify that, Huntrace is playing even more card draw than this list plays with the Dirty Tricks coming into play. He's playing Stealth Package and Secret Package, which means he gets access to all of the card draw from both of those sets. He has the Skyvatir, he has the Greyheart Sage, and he has Dirty Tricks. So the ease of which he can draw through his deck has even pushed him to the point where he's just playing a Zephyrus in a deck that is all 2-ofs in order to get some late game value out of that against control. So not sure if there's quite enough card draw in these versions of the deck that both players are playing to go down to that few invokes overall, because of course that's what we're talking about here. It's not Devoted Maniac as a card. Do you need it? No, of course you don't. The card's trash. But you do need a certain number of invokes in your deck, especially when your Galakron is as powerful as the Rogue one is when fully invoked.
Yeah, and I'm sure Derek and Gia are looking forward to casting a lot of that Rogue deck next week in Asia Pacific, and they'll probably be able to give us some more feedback.
Oh, Hunter Ace Rogue? Yeah, okay, I see what you did there. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Hearthstone Grandmasters Europe land, do have a Van Cleef Vermi in the Shadow step. The potential of this evil miscreant getting involved too for Felkeine. It all adds up as a recipe to a victory on the back of this Van Cleef. Bunnyhoppor, meanwhile, has a good selection of secrets. And if you ever want to try and beat up a Van Cleef, this is the how-to package, right? Double ambush and a stunner, and a secret that is an ambush you can use to just hold for the stunner as well. So, although the Felkeine has the option of going reasonably sized Van Cleef here, Bunnyhoppor has all the answers in the world right now. How loose do you think rogues can be with Seal Fate in this matchup? And do you think the opportunity is here to just Seal Fate face and just take the Galakron Invoke? As you mentioned, it's less about what the Invoke cards do themselves and more about invoking Galakron for those big crazy turns that rogue.
I think in a lot of spots I would have already snapped this seal and been done with it, but it's the fact that a secret came down from Bunnyhoppor, which is a little bit alarming, right? Because this is one of the eventualities of you just getting punished for playing your Seal Fate on that turn.
Still, Bunnyhoppor does have a relatively slow hand, although he has things to do. He doesn't necessarily want to blindly play these ambushes, especially now that he's used the Dirty Tricks. Then it's one ambush you'd imagine is going to be held for this stunner.
Yep.
He just has to work out how he wants this game to progress here. His coin isn't really going to activate anything for him either. And even if he coins into Shield of Galakron next turn, if that's the plan, then he's still going to be a little bit low on things to do with a relatively high curve overall.
I wonder.
Yeah, still a bit curious about Felkeine's turn. Obviously, we knew that it was Dirty Tricks, so it's really hard to give unbiased opinions in this point. But first and foremost, I really hate just not spending any mana that turn. That was the big problem.
Right.
But he didn't need the Lackey. Sometimes you cast Seal of Fate very recklessly because you just need the Lackey. You're playing card Seal Fate just to transform it from a 3-cost card into a 1-cost card. That's your goal of playing the card. But, Felkeine didn't really need that there because he had Mermy into Miscreant or whatever other option he did want to go for on the follow-up anyway, which is what you see him do with the Edwin Van Cleef. But still, I think passing that turn without spending any mana is just a little bit too toxic for Felkeine's liking and mine.
And clearly, that's the most important thing, isn't it? Meanwhile, Bunnyhoppor didn't get the free poison into the Van Cleef as Felkeine very clearly set up to deal with that outcome. He could, if he's feeling crazy, hold on one more turn and
So
really go nuts
many
with Van Cleef.
options.
He can go coin, ambush, stunner, Van Cleef next turn if he wants. Maybe even Shadow Step. The only problem is, that means he just, daggers up and goes into the Mermy this turn?
Yeah, it seems equally miserable.
Choose soon. Don't let the door hit you.
And with no backup secret in hand and 3 secrets already played this game for Bunnyhoppor, no real good enough reason for me to Shadow Step this stun, even though it is a target I think we're going to be talking about for a long time in the future, Sol, as to it being very Shadow Steppable.
Yeah, who knows where it'll land after the nerfs come in, like where the builds of Rogue even will fall when the secret package obviously gets significantly weaker after the upcoming patch. Certainly right now, for me, Blackjack Stunner is the reason you would play Secret Rogue. I think this is the card that impresses me the most out of the entire package.
Maybe, in true Raven and Sol fashion, Bamboozle is the card that makes me think you play Secret Rogue.
So many options. Choose
It's
soon.
not that good. I don't understand why you love it so
Because
much.
it's funny. I had someone pop my Bamboozle into that Abyssal 12-12 dude.
Nobody
That's why I play Hearthstone, Sol.
You fell right into my trap.
Yeah, I actually felt that along with Felkeine. It felt like that ambush proc was kind of delayed. So I saw it on Felkeine's face. He played it. It looked like it was an ambush for a second, and then
he just
suddenly
rolls
his face fell, and he just, oh no, it is ambush. Oh my god.
Rocked in a little
It
bit
seemed
late for
kind
work.
of slow to me as well. Yeah.
I think it's
Weird.
something that's popped up a few times now is that because of Hanar and the amount of secrets that can be generated,
wonder.
the combination of them going off is actually, it eats up a lot of time as the animations are very separate. That
The
makes
Brotherhood
sense,
shall
you know what I mean,
prevail.
right? Like, one has to start up, procs the secret, displays the secret, the outcome happens, and it finishes. Then the other one starts up, and it can burn a lot of your turn.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
And Felkeine just nodding like, yep. Played my boom pistol bully, and my opponent had a good turn. This is a problem.
It is. It's an enormous problem. And that is the other side of the coin for Blackjack Stunner. No secret in hand for Felkeine, so that is just an absolutely dead draw.
I will act as your scale.
Bunny can just really kind of start moving from this point. I think he was probably hoping for a minion that he could just flick on curve, but that is a slightly problematic one. Considering he has Galakron in his hand, he's on 0 invokes, and he also just currently has a Shield of Galakron in his hand, so I think he's just going to end up playing the shield here instead. You really want to hit him for 8, don't you?
Yeah, and you know what honestly pushed me over the edge, and I know Shield of Galakron is an absolutely fine turn here, don't get me wrong, but if he's at 0 invokes, nothing else in his hand I could spy evokes Galakron.
Well, he is about to go Lackey Togwaggle on the next turn, though, and draw a bunch of cards.
I guess, yeah, I guess.
And he also doesn't get to do that if he doesn't play Shield of Galakron this turn. If he blows it up, he doesn't really get to do it for the foreseeable future ever.
Yeah, you
Because
just jam Galakron. Draw 1. Make it good.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I took the game down a different route in my mind of actually just going fairly aggressive in general. But yes, this is still, I'm not by any means saying this play is not good or correct. Because as you just, quite rightly pointed out, there is a very visible logic path here, right, of this play, right? You don't deal the 8 damage, but you get the Togwaggle off. Galakron problem.
The Brotherhood shall prevail.
Just managed to make an 8/8 Edwin with it costing 5. That's great.
Could have been a 10-10 if you really wanted to throw the Kobold Lackey back in. But I don't blame him for keeping hold of it. Very flexible tool right now, especially for zero mana.
One stab.
And there's his flick. Bunny's Edwin already long gone, so no downside to that one. And the Togwaggle will just have to wait a turn.
Job done.
I do like Felkeine's play on the previous turn though, like 8-8 and 10-10 kind of died to the same relevant things in that position. You know, Blackjack Stunner number 2 or Flick, those are basically the big ones. So by holding back the Kobold Lackey, he gave himself a Miscreant Activator, which his hand kind of sucked at doing at that point. He doesn't want to just play his Blackjack Stunner to activate Miscreant. So if his top deck wasn't good, he wouldn't really have an activator for his Miscreant this turn. So that's upside number 1. Upside number 2, he can just rip Togwaggle off the top and then be a very, very happy boy indeed with that 0 mana
Also
left.
as well, the 2 damage just didn't do anything.
Yeah,
It's like, you know,
exactly.
2 damage to the face, okay. You know, it doesn't really achieve much, whereas at least this now has dealt with the Shield of Galakron full and at least generated some value, and now he has Faceless Lackey into the second Miscreant if he really needs it next turn.
Sure.
Meanwhile, in Bunnyhoppor land though, things are looking mighty rich indeed. So just a confirmation that is Galakron to draw 2, so middling evoke.
Mm-hmm.
I think I quite like the Galakron. Oh, maybe not. I was
So
thinking that it was
many
actually turned
options.
closer, and that he could Galakron now and then go into the Togwaggle, but then he would have to stick a minion if he wants to actually use the treasure in the same turn, as he's not on 10 mana beyond. A little bit unfortunate adding up there.
Choose soon.
Either way, I think
Yeah.
Bunnyhoppor's looking pretty fine, whichever route he chooses to go down here.
Chooses to leave up the 2 lackeys. I think he does have a pretty clear signal that High Sparrow and Togwaggle is currently not in the hand, based on exactly the reasoning I was talking about last turn. If Felkeine had drawn it off the top there, he would have been a very happy boy and just jammed it that turn. So the fact that he didn't, alongside his 0 mana lackey, is a pretty strong indicator that it's not in hand. Therefore, Bunnyhoppor chooses not to respect the lackeys that are in play, and instead take the better trade into the Evil Miscreant.
Well, Miscreant number 2 coming down, trying to open up some options here for Felkeine. The Rush and Taunt lackeys aren't exactly mind-blowing here. Probably was after an Ethereal. Still faces a Rupture.
Really nice swing turn, though, here. This is
Oh,
very
yeah.
strong.
Like I said, the only thing that was bad about this turn was the lackeys he got, I feel. I think like the actual Faceless Corruptor into Miscreant is very, very good. Faceless Corruptor just works so well with lackey deck. Because there's just always a target, right?
There is 3, and there is 4, and there is 5. That one doesn't matter.
Wow. Okay, Seal. You matter.
If it was an actual seal, like R Seal of Fate, that would matter. Seal Fate? No, that doesn't matter.
I'd want it to wear a hat as well.
Okay.
A hat
I
of
mean,
fate.
like the Kobold does, like a wizard's hat with horns on it.
I'm not overly sold on the horns. I just think maybe even just a normal hat, like a cap. But it's the hat.
Just one of those little red caps with a spinning propeller on the top.
Oh,
Okay. Nice.
I wonder.
So yeah, Bunny did pick up his 2 invokes that he needed to fully invoke this Galakron, which is why I'm such a big fan of doing it this way around, and we're having that discussion of just, going Togwaggle first, because you more often than not pick up at least 1 extra invoke there, and then you're marching along the road to Valley Town with your fully invoked Galakron. Honestly, Felkeine is just a spectator in this game from this point.
yeah, lackeys and not even a secret for his stunner is not going to be good enough. But there's the Galakron. Trunks is probably the best draw he can get right now.
Well, Praise It and Hanar certainly not going to be good enough here.
Rush Lackey as well. Oh, these Lackeys not really playing nice with Felkeine, honestly.
We saw, who was it that had a very similar game? It was Hunter Ace last week, right? Who just got 0 gas with Rogue and just played the entire game basically off the back of lackeys and nothing else.
Yeah. Very loose description of playing the game as well, because he didn't really get to play, which I think is what we're seeing here from Felkeine as well. Oh, I have a handful of 1-mana 1/1s.
Galakron playable here, will take him up to exactly 10 before he starts playing his 0 mana cards again. Yeah, Felkeine, I think, knows his fate is sealed.
You mean his fate of sealed?
Exactly, yeah. You get
or
me,
the fate
right?
of seals?
Yes. Either or.
Tomato, potato.
Honestly, a fairly low value Galakron pool, though.
Didn't need to be high though, did it? I think that's the issue, honestly, here for Felkeine.
Yeah.
Just the draw 4 cards that cost 0. A part of me is surprised Felkeine didn't just concede at that point, honestly. I'm not saying he should have, by the way. It's just a part of me felt like it was just going to be a, oh, Galakron for 4 and the weapon. Next game, please.
And there is the troll 4th invoke for Felkeine. Picked up 1 off the Galakron that wasn't fully invoked, and then the 4th one came very soon after.
The only thing I'm really hoping for right now is that there's an attack that happens. I believe that is Bamboozle that's live.
It is.
Oh, a little bit of a preview of a minion that's going to get buffed. That's going to be a 5/6 after the patch.
Sounds right.
I want to say it's called Rumbler, but I'm not sure. Either way, Felkeine has a bit of a slow one there to finish on. But he just did not get to really play the game there, and Bunnyhoppor taking full control with well-executed rogue play. Also, of course, helped by Felkeine just not having access to almost any tools to fight back. It seemed quite unfair, actually, Saul, from where I was standing.
First off, shattered Rumbler, Raven. Just want to clear that one up. But yeah, it did seem a bit one-sided. Of course, he did find his Galakron towards the end, but he hadn't really had the consistent gas to get that Galakron rolling to the 4 invokes that Bunny had, and it whiffed super hard, where he just got a useless Hanar and a 1-mana spell from his deck. So not really the best game for Felkeine to be playing, but the good news is that Rogue still won that game, so we're still intact in our Rogue is dominating today, Raven.
For someone who questions my shoddy arguments, you are bringing them out in full force today. I'm enjoying it, so I'll keep it going. Most importantly, Bunnyhoppor does have his Galakron Priest left, and here we go. I was going to say strap in, because I thought this was going to be a bit of a slower matchup, but it is going to be the Demon Hunter that Felkeine's initially choosing, so we are going to put this one to the test here for Bunnyhoppor and see if there's enough anti-aggro tools and heal, I think, very importantly as well, to keep Bunnyhoppor alive long enough to just secure and backswing the mid to late game here with the Priest.
Yep. It can be a little longer than you might expect, though, especially now as we're seeing the matchup played by a deck that does play Skull of Gul'dan, so it is more likely to be staying high on resources for much longer, and they do have the ability to, even after falling behind once, catch up with a big Altruist turn. That is a pretty premium opener for Bunnyhoppor. Disciple, Penance, and another 1-drop off the Invoke. That's insane. Just automatically means any Fate Weaver that gets drawn... Oh my goodness. Any Fate Weaver that gets drawn is going to be active on turn 4 to discount the hand.
Yeah, and I think I'd actually love to just see Penance on this Battle Fiend here. Or actually, maybe a pre-bump and just play the 2 1-drops.
Right. It's
like
kind of
about
where
that?
I'm at.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
kind of where
actually,
I'm at.
Consider.
Also,
I
you
have-
can just get like twin slice off this, right? Like this could just be the nuts. Dude, I am nailing this.
Just gonna let you solo cast the rest of this game, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I
with it.
think I'm actually in control of this game at this point. This is a bit weird.
He's gonna cast a twin slice. See, me too, Sol. Me too. I think we both got
Yeah.
the skills.
Yeah.
I mean, one, this worked out very well, but seriously, I do think just the one bump and then 1-1s was the 2-1 drops was always going to work out well. Mainly because you have to just have sidekick just ingrained into your mind against Demon Hunter, and then Penance just deals with it. Even if a sidekick comes down onto the Battlefiend, Penance cleans it up nicely no matter what. So really, just it paid off greatly for Bunnyhoppor, of course, with the twin slice. But even without, it was just a very solid play for Bunnyhoppor here, even in these just few openings.
And I hope that whatever is out the window to Felkeine's right, our left, is the most calming of vistas to gaze upon, because it feels like Felkeine needs it at this point. He may be approaching tilt territory. May I suggest playing our cards and then going face?
I did wonder whether a double trade with a heal was ever decent.
What's happening?
What
What are you double trading into?
you can heal and then double trade the into the sidekick.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Because
sure.
one thing I do that I feel is important to point out is, it's going to sound really weird the way I'm going to phrase it, but I don't care, is once this penance is used, it's gone. And wait for it. And I feel like if there's a way you can extend the use of your minions instead of using your actual hard from hand removal, then it's worth considering, at least. And the hero power from Priest can help just keep your minions alive a bit longer. But yeah, but did just go for the penance and the trade, which does completely make sense. But I think it's just worth considering.
Yeah, I take everything that you say on board, but also play your cards and go face. Like, Bunny's curve's just too strong, right? Like, as a genuine point, I think if he just plays his cards and spends his mana every turn, his curve is just too powerful from this point onwards.
Just rip into the penance as well, whatever. Yeah, this Fate Weaver, one being active, just speeds up the curve and lines it up, as you mentioned. Perfect. Now instead of that weird floating turn he would have, he just has the time rip penance turn, if you really wants, into just Galakrond. Absolutely insane. And
Okay.
this
Felkeine, head up. That's a really good draw. You drew a very good card. Look at your hand.
I'm
Okay.
not sure whether it sounds like Sottle is praising a pet or a small child at this point. It's, hey, no, it's okay. You drew a good card. We can make it work. So either way, I think Felkeine would not appreciate being spoken to like that, but whatever.
He's actually still going to go with the Chaos Strike here as opposed to looking for the swing turn. Just clear up. Sure. Seems fine.
Well, I was going to raise the point as well. This Fate Weaver, although doing an incredible job with its battle cry, is a 3/6.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 3/6 that can get healed. So it's just, I think Felkeine just respecting this is, although painful for him, fair, because if this minion just trade heal every turn.
Well, no, I'm saying he could have done it. He could have done it with the Twin Slice, one copy of the Twin Slice, and then coining the Gladebound adder.
Oh, sure, with the Gladebound.
Developed a huge minion at the same time. That's why I was saying that draw was particularly good, because it enabled him to do 6 total with the Gladebound turn.
Either way, we agree that it needed to die.
Yes, it certainly did.
And the respect paid off as well. Osis was drawn. Not that Bunnyhoppor needs to heal, but it would just make the 3/6 even more unkillable, wouldn't it? With a massive health buff.
I continue to love this, by the way. I know it sounds super reductive, but he's just playing his cards. And I think, like, again, that's just a sign of the quality of the hand that he has. If he just spends his mana on the things that cost the right amount each turn, his curve's just too good. he just time ripped a 2/2 because that's what he had to do that turn, you know? Like, it sounds ridiculously reductive, but it's actually kind of hard to force yourself to do that kind of thing sometimes. I really love that Bunny's doing it.
It is. I think there's something that is maybe too locked into players' minds is, oh, is this the best value I can get from this card? Is this the best use of this card I can possibly make? That's a good mindset to have, because then you generally do make the best use of your cards, which means you'll probably win more games of Hearthstone. But in certain scenarios, just play things, right? Like, you make awkward plays if it's even not the best value, because if you get to play stuff and your opponent doesn't, probably win that game regardless of whether it's a best play or not.
Right.
Right now, Grandmummy, Apotheosis, and Dependence is an option instead of the Galakron for Bunnyhoppor. So I would suggest that this is one of the first few turns in the game that actually has different options and lines, as opposed to your famous now, I've decided. Just play your card that's playable.
I'm very worried that this turn might just end Felkeine, though.
What, just the Galakron?
Yeah, with how frustrated he's been getting with each passing turn. It does look like Bunny's going to divert, though, with the second Fate Weaver, which I certainly cannot fault him for.
I do think the Galakron was the mentally break your opponent play, but as a true scholar and a gent, Bunnyhoppor is playing maybe a slightly different path. I think I like this most because he has Apotheosis. Maybe Apotheosis is the true psychological play. Just setting up for it and saying, right, how do you kill this?
Yeah, maybe.
They bounded that.
I will say that now that Felkeine has been bullied off the board completely, his mindset should now just be to reset to value, essentially, especially now that he hadn't seen the Galakron. And I think that's why the Galakron would have been so backbreaking for him, because it then shuts off the value plan a lot of the time as well, because Galakron is just such an insane value card for Priest. But right now, having not seen what would have been a playable Galakron be played on discounted curve, if you want to look at it that way, then he might just feel like he can just outvalue the one card a turn that Bunnyhoppor is able to draw.
I was wondering whether Felkeine spends the next few turns trying to assemble the Exodia turn with Altruist and just go for the biggest Altruist turn known to man to clear off the board and push some damage. But okay, no. Not
None
happy
of
with
those
those
cards
options.
are Skull of Gul'dan. So I actually didn't look at the Altruist this turn. I'm assuming this is a full clear if he's gone for it. He now has Coin's hero power.
Yeah, it is. With the trade from the two.
Oh, he trades. Okay, gotcha.
Galakron! We'd even have Natalie Celine next turn as well with Apotheosis if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, do you think it's, if he went Galakron, it's Hero Power Galakron, Galakron Hero Power, or Thoughtsteel Galakron? Or if you're feeling really spicy, Galakron Thoughtsteel.
Galakron Thoughtsteel
Yeah,
for some
that's
reason.
clearly the option D.
I think I like Thoughtsteel Galakrons.
I must consider.
My reasoning being, so if it's one big minion from Felkeine next turn, you have the Natalie to take care of that. If it's Skull of Gul'dan top deck into play a bunch of cheap stuff, you're more likely to deal with that with Demon Hunter cards than you are with any cards you get from the Priest Galakron. So yeah, I like this. This makes sense.
Okay, hands in the air. But he does care. Because this is a problem. Data Overseer isn't bad. You can start rebuilding a board again. And one thing, again, if you just got to try and keep a level head, even in these terrible scenarios, is that now Bunnyhoppor probably doesn't have that many great options to heal, right? I know I harp on about it, but it's very important once your opponents play Galakron. And Demon Hunter can still output a ton of damage. Blade Bound Adept, Warglaves of Azanoth, and Metamorphosis. All of that adds up to probably 26 at this point. So...
I appreciate you keeping hope alive, Raven. Let's just leave it at
void
that.
is filled with many whispers.
think this would wind me up the most if I was Felkeine. The beaming sidekick on the net. Stop making better minions than me. With my minions.
I just feel it in my bones. I think Felkaine's about to call it quits.
I was going to say, I actually genuinely think the sidekick on the Celine might have been the play that pushes him over the edge. Just saying, how am I supposed to kill this?
Yeah.
What's this? Oh, and death. Don't look, honestly.
Oh, a card. Nice. Let's play this. Oh, it's a Satyr Overseer. Fascinating.
Still apotheosis and death.
Yeah.
This is just murder at this point, isn't it? Look at Felkeine,
It is.
just like, why not? Keep playing your cards.
Never before, Raven, has the phrase "stop, he's already dead" been so appropriate.
Yes. Wow. What a game. I don't mean that in how close it was or how these... Although we could talk about the specific early game if you really want, but not really full of crazy, intricate plays. But Bunnyhoppor just dominated this game with this priest against Felkaine's Demon Hunter here. And there's honestly just not a lot Felkeine could have done about it.
Psychopomp.
The end.
Sign me up for a nice 3/6 dragon. The streak is dead, Raven.
Yep.
I got one wrong.
You lost it.
He was, what, 2 damage off lethal that turn as well? Shadow Madness lethals, best lethals.
Felkeine going out with honor. Chaos Strike and Natalie Celine healing Bunnyhoppor back up to full, but most importantly, lethaling himself as Bunnyhoppor takes the series over Felkeine 3-1. And that Priest, I feel like Priest is definitely a mixed bag of what we've seen on broadcast, because that Priest looked incredible. And if you show someone that matchup, you'd be like, well, how is Demon Hunter ever supposed to win? You know, if you show them just that game of Hearthstone. Obviously, this changes a little bit as well, but I just feel like Priest is almost there to be maybe the dominant deck in the near future of Hearthstone, which I think scares me, if I'm honest.
I don't know how I feel about it.
I'm afraid.
I can't process all these feelings. People might look at these like couple of Demon Hunter games that we've had and sort of think, well, how can you possibly be saying that like Demon Hunter can fight that matchup and go long? But like, I promise you it can. You just have to draw Skull of Gul'dan. It's not that hard.
Right.
But people seem quite bad at A, putting that card in their deck, and B, then drawing it when they do. So it has seemed a bit of a problematic matchup up until now. But I don't think that's really representative of how the matchup goes as a whole. But yeah, that was not fun to watch. We tried to have a good time with it, but we were just watching a man slowly get tortured to death. That's really what was going on. And I like Felkeine. He seems like a good guy. I don't want to see him upset. I want to see him happy. I want to see him doing well, because I think he's a great addition to Grandmasters. So that was a tough one, for sure.
It really was rough, but these games do happen now and again. Sometimes it is almost taken out of your hands. You have, your opponent has the perfect hand, you don't. That's the game of Hearthstone, but that's also why the players play tons of matches and tons of Hearthstone across an extended period of time to just get the overall results pretty fair. But we are moving on